They're pretty good about answering. The
I need the CMA now.
this toll-free, let me just flip back real quickly to, all right, don't leave me at your mind for 30 more minutes.
Okay.
So back at HAR, up at the very top of the screen, there's a toll-free number. Tempo Fusion support. This is not just MarketLink's main giant support phone number. This is really going to be helpful. The Tempo Fusion support number is dedicated HAR Tempo Fusion support. So when you call that, 99.9% of the time you're going to get answered by a person and not generic loop voicemail. They promise us, if that is not true, call HAR's MLS department, say you're having trouble, so that we can make sure that they are in keeping with the contract that they have with us. But you should get way better result than your average old support number or whatever, because it's a specified team for us. If you're having, like her, she's having a technical problem, it's not printing like it should. So they can troubleshoot that and walk her through maybe some setting issues. Some Internet Explorer 10 has some compatibility settings and things that you have to do, so that just might be a couple of setting issues that need to be adjusted. That'll resolve that fairly quickly. Okay.
Where is this site?
When you log into HAR, give my computer just a moment to catch back up to us here. When you first log into HAR, this is the screen here, and that number is at the top. I realized I had it magnified to like 900%, so you couldn't tell what page I was on. Okay. So lastly, the CMA Wizard, I'm not going to go off into that. There's a whole class for CMAs as well. Another, ploy for an invitation to come back. CMA Wizard, it's 8 steps. It gives you just a little bit more full, robust kind of printout to do a formal listing presentation. Nothing wrong with either one to give to a client. One is 1 page of black and white text, which just doesn't look all that fancy. So it doesn't necessarily look like you put a lot of effort into it, though the results are the same.
So let me poll the class real quick. We're definitely going to have Marilyn come back for a Fusion Advanced class. How many of you would be interested in a CMA Wizard class? Okay, about half? Okay.
Sure.
Great. Good enough for me?
Anything with Fusion, I'll come for.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you. And I'll email you a list of all the available courses too, just so you can kind of do another poll.
MC credits?
They could be, or we can do a non-MC if you'd like. I can just come back to visit if you'd like too. We can work that out. So the last couple of things, finally, thank you for being patient. Since this technically is advanced, I was making her wait an extra long time. However, I think search by map is crucial, whether you are brand new or you've been in the business for much longer than brand new, or whatever. You're not always ever going to know an MLS area, subdivision, whatever. What if they say I want to live inside the loop? How do we search by that? The best way is you just draw a shape and go look right there. I don't know what MLS area. It's multiple MLS areas, multiple zip codes, all that. Okay? So I'm going to go back to criteria. And now this sounds like this is the one time I'm not being sarcastic, okay? So it's a little hard to realize what's happening. You have to be in criteria to use the map as criteria. If you are in results, you are only looking at the results on a map. And you're thinking, is she kidding me right now, right? The maps look 99.99999% the same, except if you're in criteria, you have the little toolkit where you can actually draw. If you're in the results map, you can't draw. And people think, oh no, I broke it. It's gone, I can't do it. Okay, so always be sure you're back in criteria. And this is where we typed our price range and our bedrooms and our bathrooms, and it had a pool and all of that, remember way back at the beginning of class. If I click the map button on this screen, again, it looks very much like the map I was just looking at a minute ago. But if you'll notice in the top right corner, I have the itty bitty teeny tiny yet all important little pencil or drawing toolkit. So if I click the pencil, I've got my circle, my polygon, and my rectangle or square. I'm going to start with rectangle because I think it's the one you'll use the least, and then I'll get to the polygon at the end, which is the one I think you'll use the most. So you click your pencil, you click the rectangle, and then come to the map, click and let go, and then just move your mouse in any direction. Click and let go. If you're using it in Tempo, you're clicking and holding down. In Fusion, you click and let go, draw a box, and then click again to let it know you're done. Now it's only searching for a property inside the box. and that meets this criteria over here.
And you can expand or contract the box now?
Yes, but is the answer to your question. I can change it if I click the rectangle tool again. I get these little handlebars, but it only does one of those handlebars at a time. So technically I turn it into a polygon. Okay, so if you need to scoot the box to the left a little, it's easier just to delete the box and draw a new one.
Thank you.
Okay, that little red and white X right there will delete that shape and you can start from scratch.
So you go back to rectangle.
If you click and let go and just drag it any direction, it can be as rectangle-y or as square-y as you want it to be.
And you can do
Oh,
multiples.
I was hoping somebody would notice that. So first of all, I can draw more than one shape. Unlimited number of shapes I can draw all over the map. It can be circles and squares and polygons, any combination of the kinds of shapes. On the far left, why do I have no results?
Because you have 14 and 15.
14 and 15 over here is canceling it out. That square is not drawn in these MLS areas. If I delete that MLS area field, then I might get some stuff in the box. So just be real mindful of the fact that the geography and the text fields are working together and might be canceling each other out. Okay? So again, I can do a multiple drawing thing, which is very cool. So if they say, I either want to live over, I either want to be in Kingwood or Clear Lake, one or the other. I have a couple of options here. I can draw two separate shapes. I can search in two separate MLS areas, or
I only want to live in the life forms areas, on the bridge, then you'd be one square.
one of the other options, if I draw multiple places on the map, I can search in multiple geographic locations at one time. I can put 14 and 15, comma 5 or whatever it is way down south in Pasadena or whatever. Okay, so that's two different ways I can search by two separate areas and get one list of results.
But it has to be in the criteria.
As long as you put it in the criteria, it'll search for whatever you want. The other thing is I can draw two different places on the map, so I can put a box or a polygon or a circle over here and a square or circle polygon down there and have both. The other thing that I can do is I can have multiple searches going on at one time in Fusion. Okay? In Tempo, if I click on single family search again, I'm done with the first one. It can't save that. It moves on, starts over. Okay? If you hover on search, click single family, townhome, rental, high rise, whatever it might be, you open a brand new from scratch search. Let's say I'm in the middle of working on this for my client right now and I'm taking property time. The phone rings, got to stop right in the middle of what I'm doing and help this person find that information on the rental that they're calling about. Hover on search, click on rentals, and then it's kind of like your internet. You can see I've got several different tabs, different internet pages going on at one time, right? Right here, I have several different MLS search tabs going on. So this is my res, or single family search, and this is now my rental. Again, starting from scratch, okay? So I could do my Kingwood search, my Clear Lake search, and have two separate lists of results, or I can do them all in that one search on one page. Pros and cons, right? They may want everything, two separate searches, they may want everything kind of all together.
How do you save the original search that you're working on?
You can just click back, click on that tab.
No, but I mean, I'm working on something and then I have to switch.
It doesn't ever forget it. It doesn't forget. As long as you don't close Fusion, as long as you don't close Fusion completely, it'll keep that tab just kind of sitting right there waiting for you. At any time, you can click that Save Search button. Remember we talked about that? So I could, if I wanted, save this as Mr. Smith's Kingwood Search or whatever I want to call it and have it saved.
So you just really go back to criteria, change your criteria, do the separate search for the idiot on the phone, and
The lovely potential home buyer on the phone. I heard lovely potential home buyer.
doesn't exist, but and that other search will still be there, so you have to restart all.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
I have a question.
You don't lose it.
You don't
Does
lose
it
it.
log you out like Tempo does after a certain number of hours?
The technical answer is yes.
Okay, and you lose 5%.
Not really. Not really.
What is-
I'm covering the microphone so that they don't hear me say, it doesn't really do that. I was trying to be subtle. I have not had it ever boot me out. Tempo is very,
Yeah.
you're not gonna get past it, right?
Yeah.
But I have not ever had it kick me completely out, except for like a day later. Like I leave it up on my computer, I close my computer at night and I come back the next day, I'm out. But it's not quite as harsh a kick out as tempo. So you should be pretty good. Obviously, we can't control everything. If the electricity blips off in a storm or whatever, you probably should have done something there. Or if you close your browser completely, like I say, there's no getting it back from there unless you saved it. Okay, so there's no limit to the number of searches going on that one time that you can have. And you can just click the little X whenever you're done and close that search tab. Okay, so kind of back to our mapping now. I realize I go kind of on a sort of a tangent and back again. I did a square first. Radius is the next one I'm going to do, and just because I want to, I'm going to delete that one and kind of start from scratch. The radius tool is obviously a radius around something. The center point would be either of relevance to them somehow. So I'm going to work here and I want to live within 2 miles of that because I ride my bike. Or my mother-in-law lives over there and I want to be 15 miles away from her. Or my kid's going to this school, so try to get me as close as you can, or whatever it might be. Okay? So you can go do a couple of different things. If there's something geographically on the map, like they want to be right near 45 in the Beltway, because who wouldn't want to live right there, right? So I could pretend like that's the center point, click the circle. This is a wonderful, amazing point that they want to be near. So if you click that, click and let go, that's now the middle of your circle, and move your mouse in any direction, and you can see the number, certain radius around that particular.
You're in 14, 15, so you're not going to get anything yet.
Right, right. It's my little test to always see if you're paying attention. So far he's caught both, so he gets 2 gold stars. So yes, I have no results because that's not in MLS area 14 or 15. But again, it can be way far out like I am. I can zoom way far in. If you double click the map, you can get really, 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 really close and find 2 more kind of neighborhood streets that intersect if you want to use that. There's certain things like this right here, Ray Campbell Borough Park is kind of labeled, so maybe that's of relevance to them. The next tool on the menu over here, on the kind of key or legend over there, the little blue map pin, that's their locator tool. So you can actually click that and search for a specific address, business name, or an MLS number if you have that. So if they say I'm going to work at XYZ company and I want to be within 2 miles because I ride my bike, I click business, I put XYZ company, it'll mark that on the map for me with a very unique looking map pin, so it'll look completely different than my property results. And then I can do a radius search around that. Okay, so that's one option. Okay. And then last but certainly not least is our polygon. And again, I think this is the one you're probably going to use the most, so I always save it to the end. Leave that last in your mind. The polygon is in a regular shape. You can change directions up to 30 times. The tempo polygon is limited to 8 points. This one's limited to 30, so you've got a little bit more flexibility. And that example I gave earlier, I want to live inside the loop. I can literally click polygon and just trace the loop. Or if they say I want to be east of 45 but not west of 45 but not north of 242 or whatever it is, you can use the polygon tool to do that. So let me just double click a little on the map to get zoomed in a bit. Okay, my hypothetical, I'm going to keep them between 45 and Hardy Toll Road. They want to be in between. East of 45 but west of Hardy Toll Road, outside the Beltway. I know nobody's really ever going to probably ask for that, but that's where I am. Okay, so if I click polygon, you can start at the bottom, the top, whatever. Okay, so you're going to click and let go. That's my first point. And now I can literally move my mouse and follow along. This is where my OCD-ish tendencies kind of make my brain hurt a little bit because it'll take me a while to get these streets exactly followed. But you can change direction again up to 30 times. So I can follow all these little nooks and crannies and bends in the streets. Okay.
Is this something the public can do when the public?
Sort of. HAR.com, we have our own version of a map, and they can draw on that map. It's not the exact same program because they don't have access to MLS, but we have our version of it. Once you reach the 30th point, it'll automatically stop, but most likely you're just going to stop before that. So whenever you're ready, you just double click and you let it know you're done, or you can go back to the first point and let it know you're done. Okay. Otherwise, it just keeps on going until you get to the 30th point. That's right. And again, just for, example's sake, oops, I went too far north and I crossed over there. If I click the polygon tool again, I can just click and hold on the little toolbar and drag that back and fix those little things. You can only fix one point at a time. So like if this down here is bothering me too, I got to go click polygon again, hypothetically, and pull that one in just a little bit. Okay, so just depending on what you need. And again, I don't think I'm in 14 and 15, so that's why that's potentially, or my price range has knocked me out of the game, or the fact that I wanted a pool, or any number of the pieces of criteria on the left could be canceling out the results that I was getting on the right. Okay, thank you for being very patient and waiting the whole entire class. Okay. It does take a little getting used to. I know that it looks like I'm up here just click, 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 click. See, that's it.
Are you okay?
Do you need some help?
Well, I kept double clicking and it wouldn't stop.
If you are on top of one of those property result pins, it doesn't realize you're clicking. So if you want to zoom in a little bit further, that probably will help resolve that, okay? It's lovely. It looks a little bit like a duck wearing a hat or something. It's a lovely polygon. And then again, you can click the little black and white, the red and white X, and clear the shape. Start again. Okay. And you can zoom in as far as you need to or out as far as you need to, like I said before. Okay. So those are, do you feel advanced? That wasn't too bad, right? Technically that's advanced, but again, I teach it almost in every class just because I think it's really helpful.
If you find a house that they want and you want to do the CMA, you can still draw the map like that too in the CMA?
Yes.
You can use the map. Let me make sure I'm answering the right question. You can use the search by map to search with at any point. It doesn't matter what the end result you're trying to achieve is. So at any point in criteria, I can draw on the map. Okay? And then if in the next phase I happen to be printing that as a CMA or just going to show property. Absolutely. Whatever you put on the left and the right will work together. So if I wanted to put active pendings and closed, and then go to the bottom and put a closed date range, and then draw a polygon for just, in that case, that was basically Oak Ridge that I was drawing a little polygon around, then I could do all of the above or one or the other.
So it looks like all the way even down to the subdivision. You can either type the subdivision.
You can type the subdivision name, particularly in the Woodlands. That's a difficult thing to do sometimes because sometimes it's called Village of Panther Creek and sometimes it's VOPC or whatever. So there's no rhyme or reason to which one, and there technically isn't a Woodlands. It's Alden Bridge or Oak Ridge North or whatever. So geography often helps quite a bit.
It's the only place in the city that it's like that.
Yes.
Yeah, anywhere else you're working, it's fine. You can
Better to do it by map.
Yep.
To draw on the
Zip
map.
code.
Better to draw on map or zip code. That's right. There's only 3 zip codes, I think, up here too. So if you put a zip code and then draw on the map, those are your 2 best bets. Okay. So that is technically your advanced little bonus content. And we are nearing the end of our time together.
No.
Ah.
See, the math is much easier in Fusion than it is in.
Yes. Just simply because Fusion came along when there were more mapping, programming options available. So it is a newer kind of a mapping piece that does have a little bit more.
Then my problem was that I was trying to do it on the results side of it.
Yep.
And it wouldn't let me.
And you are not the only one. If you recall, I'm going to go ahead and go over to results and just now show you so that you'll see what I mean. See, this map looks 99.999% the same as what we were just doing. There is no pencil. There's no drawing toolkit. It's broken. I don't know what I do. How do I draw on this map? I can't figure it out. Like I say, it's designed to trick you potentially for that reason. So as simple as it sounds, you must be in criteria to use map as criteria. So makes perfect sense now that you know the answer. Not so intuitive to begin with. So the last couple little things I want to leave you with before you start using it. If you haven't already, I would highly recommend you set up your email signature in the program. Anytime you email things out to a customer or client, we want to make sure it's got your contact info, and accurate, correct contact info is also bonus, your signature, that's right. So if you hover on tools, hover on settings, email preferences is where you would go to set that up. And I think I did a little cart before horse. I think in the handout it's got your signature set up toward the beginning. You shouldn't have to, no. You should be able to see the tools tab.
Right over from,
It won't pull in from Tempo or anywhere else you might have it, no. Do you see it there? So if you have it set up in Tempo, you'll still need to set it up in Fusion. Email preferences, the third one down. There you go.
What is my images?
If you want to put your picture into the system to be on the cover of your CMA Wizard CMAs or on that client gateway or auto notification page, if you want your picture in there. Also does not pull from HAR or Tempo, so you have to upload that another time.
Now it comes up. So you go to settings.
You go to Tools, Settings, Email Preferences.
See the-
So it's not pulling from information you have to have.
It will not pull from Tempo, that's right.
3 display.
The listing data basically is the only thing that pulls from Tempo into Fusion. Anything specific to you won't. Okay?
My signature is there.
Good. So again, you just kind of type whatever you'd like in the box. Your name and your company name are required. That's an NARTAR marketing standard thingy. So be sure to do that. Beyond that, whatever you'd like. If you've got a tagline, slogan, email.
Images and it throws it in for you, or you got to type all that in?
You have to type that in. You can copy and paste if you've got it written somewhere else. This signature, ironically, there's all these advancements in Fusion, yet the signature is very utilitarian. It's text only. There's no picture. So you can't have your personal picture in your signature. It's just only text. And this is about as fancy as you can get. You can be italic or bold or a different color. So, and there's like 6 whole fonts to choose from or something. So again, kind of ironic that that's so very, very simple. But it does the job. It lets them know who you are, where to get back to you, and all that. So, yes, ma'am.
What did you say about if you wanted your picture on the CMA?
If you want your picture on the CMA, that's Tools, Settings, and My Images.
My images.
It's about halfway down that menu.
Then you go to your pictures.
My Images.
We always email preferences.
And I would find that if it
Are you hovering on that Tools tab up at the top? Oh, your personal picture. Yeah, I can't help you find out where you saved your personal photo. I get you now. I'm understanding the question now. And last but certainly not least, help and then online help. Remember, that's where those tutorial videos are. So if, you don't have access to me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, which you might not, eventually you'll have that version of me. But tutorials and videos, they have some really great, they run about 3-ish to 5-ish minutes. So how to search by map, how to set up the contacts, save a search, things like that. So just little snippets of video on a certain little topic. Those might help in a pinch if you wanted to watch those. And then if you wanted, they also have their full 200 plus page 200 plus page user manual if you want to download that. That's available to you as well.
Is there a suggested size for a photograph?
It tells you on there when you upload it what its requirements are. I apologize, I can't remember its settings.
You got it on Tempo to be the same size, right?
Potentially. Potentially.
The max file size is 6 MB.
Your maximum size is 6 megabytes, and it wants it to be 400 by 512, which is probably a little larger than. That's me, I know, right? I'm tall and thin in real life. I don't know what that is. Yes. And I'm not that short or that wide. It's just not sized very well. But it wants it to be 400 by 512, which is a little bit bigger than the Tempo version of the file.
Does it crop it for you or to the right size? No.
There's a little bit of a cropping that you can do, but it's not a full image.
So if you have a high resolution, you have to bring it
Probably will have to resize it before you pull it in. Yeah, exactly. Okay.
How do you test it to see what it looks like?
Oh, they're supposed to pay for it.
You have to go back.
Just previewing it under that little screen is about all you can do. You can email.
It looks real wrong. Chances are.
You can email yourself a CMA, Wizard CMA. That's about all you could do to test it. Oh, ye of little faith. All right. So did everyone learn at least one new thing?
Yeah.
Yes. I realize you don't know what you don't know, and your brain is kind of full right now of all of these things, but do you feel a little more comfortable using it than you did when you walked in the room?
Thank you.
Good. So here is all of my contact info. If you need me, you are welcome to call me. Or better yet, email me, because remember I stand in front of a classroom an awful lot. If you'll take just a moment to fill this evaluation form out for me. Is there anybody who did not sign the MCE sheet that needs the hours? Everybody good there? Okay. Do we have enough? All right. So whenever you're finished with that, if you would please just fill that out for me.